And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bigfoot Odyssey. Who do you see? Most of the family, the 168 family, is here. I'm probably going to drop off here in just a few minutes, just so I think Jimmy can come on. But a few things I wanted to say in the film. There's some things that I forgot, aside from misspelling independent a couple times. I spelled it right about 5 times, but I guess I was just so tired that ENT turned into ANT on like 3 of them, and I never caught it until I watched it back. I was like, oh, so sorry. Hope that doesn't totally completely destroy it. But some people that I need to thank that I didn't thank in the film. Number one is my wife, Linda. Couldn't have done any of it. Wouldn't have been possible without her support for sure. And Daniela Aiolo. She was there with us every night online, but still there, and has done just so much work for the channel. Can't thank her enough. So I'm gonna drop Brad. Whoever comes back comes on. You got this, right?
Theoretically, I'm trying to. I can't use my right arm.
You're the only one that have the control, so you'll just have to on and off. But thanks everybody for showing up. Y'all have an amazing show.
Later, Kurt.
Okay, then. Who else have we got backstage? Oh, and for everybody that didn't know, I had rotator cuff surgery yesterday.
Ouch.
So, yeah, and I'm right-handed, and of course everything is set up for my right hand. So forgive me. So welcome everybody. So what does everybody think now, since we are theoretically less than 24 hours away from this 168 dropping? Anybody jump in?
I loved it. I saw it and I loved it. I thought it was great.
So you have seen it. I haven't even seen it yet.
No? Oh.
I have not. I guess I needed to sign up. So I will, since I guess it shuts off in an hour, I'll be watching it with everybody else tomorrow night. So has anybody else seen it?
Yeah, I watched it yesterday.
Well, let's hear some thoughts and reviews. Ow.
I thought it was awesome. I was horrified at how fat I was then, but I'm really glad that it kind of instigated me into getting in better shape and getting my doo-doo together and, moving in one solid direction. So I'm excited for it to come out for the public to see it. I think they're going to love it. I think it's been laid out in a manner that is it's hard to dispute. I mean, we got him. We got him.
So who else? Real quick, and I just got a text from Carrie because I'm a little loopy right now. So forgive me for that. So and I'll let everybody go from Mark to down the line, I guess. What did you guys think of the trip? What did you think before we started? What surprised you? What amazed you? Just everything like that in general.
Well, it's just great having people come down south. That many people in basically the same force core that we've been working for 7 years is, it's like something that is unprecedented in the area, and as far as I know, really anywhere except for like maybe a couple of documentaries where they had huge crews going somewhere. But with this many researchers, and there was a lot going on when you guys came, before you came, so the area was active, and I knew there was going to be some activity around the campground. And so we planned to monitor the campground, and it was successful monitoring the campground. We had more action around the campground and more opportunities to collect viable evidence than we did in other places, because at the campground, they really only had one area that they could observe us from. So it was a little bit easier to keep track of them, you know, but everybody being down here, the experience, the tracks, you know, all of the stuff that went on the night expeditions, and then being able to capture them in the daytime, watching us at our campsite and all the stuff that was going on. It was just incredible. And I think Carrie did a great job putting it together. Mel and I watched it yesterday, and we were both like, you know, this is his best work for sure, you know. So we were really glad that we had an opportunity to contribute, especially with that many people coming to Florida. You know, we've waited for an opportunity to do something like that for a while, and you know, we're looking forward to the next stuff. So,
well, first and foremost, Mark, thank you for allowing us to go to your spots and for showing us how to investigate the area and giving us your tips and just the whole thought process. I think the first night when we were there, you really set the tone with the speech that you gave us about, you know, why we were there, what we were going to see. I think everybody wanted to go out that night, and I know that several of us had driven almost 24 hours to get to Florida. So I think first and foremost, you know, a big thank you to you and Mel for putting up with us, for opening your home to us in your area.
Yeah,
that
well, we
was
were really, I was really happy to be seeing other researchers that were mindful of actual research techniques, and so it was really awesome to see that. And there was, you know, several teams that were just executing. And so, you know, just the basic rundown of what's going on is really all everybody needed, because these guys work areas, and, you know, all these people are, you know, they're active. So, you know, it's like this, right? It's like putting kids in a candy store. You come to Florida, I'm telling you, if you come in our areas, you're in the candy store. If you're a researcher, it's real easy to notice right off the bat if you know what you're looking for. So, and everybody did such a great job. So,
well, again, you know, what you brought, the enthusiasm that you gave us, I think everybody who was tired and drained from just getting down there, that all went out the window. So I know, looking to, I was standing next to, you know, it was like we were getting ready to play a football game. I mean, you had us all psyched up. We were ready to go, and it was so helpful and so much appreciated. And you know, for me personally, it was a joy getting to watch people research and to learn how they were doing stuff. And, you know, but with that being said, I mean, everybody did such a phenomenal job. And I know right next to you is David, and you know, the film wouldn't have been together without what you did in setting up the area where we were dumping our files and dumping what we filmed. And, you know, what did you think of how it went off, Dave?
audio's down, Dave.
Audio. Oh.
There, you have me now?
Yeah.
Hey, great. It went off great. We came all the way from Michigan. Had a little bit easier time getting down there than we did getting back. My van is still in Georgia. It's a long story. But we got things set up. We got things rolling as quickly as what we could to get the teams out and going so that we could capture the data that we needed to capture. And I am just very proud to be part of it all, and to have worked with such researchers as yourselves and filmographers and experts such as yourselves. I think we really put the ball down the field in terms of getting evidence, as far as visual evidence, video evidence, and as far as also physical evidence, that will go a long way in supporting the film and what we did here. And my hat's off to Carrie. Job well done.
Without a doubt. I mean, the main core of what we did goes back to Carrie. It was his dream. his vision. And I was talking to Kerry tonight about, watching when the first one didn't happen and just how his body language was. He was just so sad and so dejected. And I knew when it would happen again, it would happen in a big way. And it obviously did. And what did anybody else, watch the first one or follow along with the first one to see how that happened and then how it morphed into, what happened back in late March, early April? Anybody want to jump on besides me? Well, it's like I said, it was, I was so excited with the idea that came up and, that it hadn't been done yet. And so when it came across for the second time, it was so exciting. And just to, know how everybody traveled down from across the country, Todd from North Carolina and, Mark from Tennessee, Clay from Texas, Josh from Michigan, other people from other parts of the country, and the Florida guys. I mean, it was just so helpful. What did you guys think? And anybody jump in here when we first got down there? What were your initial thoughts? What, just.
Hey, Bradley. My initial thought was when we all got down there that we have no infrastructure whatsoever to do any of this stuff that we want to do. We had to set everything up, electricity, everything, in order to get the cameras running, in order to get the teams out there. And that in itself and everyone setting everything up was pretty amazing.
It was an accomplishment from day one. I mean, everything had to be brought in. Everyone had to be self-sufficient, from first aid equipment to the most advanced technical equipment we had. It had to be taken care of. And Dave was the man that took care of the electronics. And I mean, that was a crazy amount of work just to keep it functional.
And then I thought one of the most important, and I'm going to, take this from Jimmy a little bit. Clay, which you and Simone, the food was amazing.
Yeah.
That getting up to that coffee that was so thick you could float a penny in with that French press, and the breakfast. It started the day off well. The food was phenomenal. Was just phenomenal, and I mean that was such a blessing, and we were so fortunate that you guys did what you did. Besides, you being involved in leading the team and everything like that, that was huge.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. That's my favorite part, man. Every morning, I'd show up every morning and be picking out on breakfast. Yeah, I love that part of it, man. The camping part of it is all great, but it's the smoke from the grill and the steak and all that stuff that
Absolutely
it makes it official.
Oh, it just got everybody going. I mean, we were recharged.
The Sasquatch had it pretty exciting too.
Yeah. Well, I honestly believe that's what contributed to those things being in the tree line. That action that we had, the track and everything.
I absolutely
it was the
think
spectacle.
So. The bacon every day.
Yeah. It was the spectacle of 168. It's just spectacle.
Oh, well, just the smell of the coffee every morning. I think, Lynn, you and I were always up at the same time fighting over the French press.
Yeah.
That you couldn't get enough.
He does a real good job of laying out stuff for the layman, and I think that's the most important aspect of what Kerry's done here is he's laying it out for people who probably maybe haven't heard of this subject or ever given it any real serious thought. And I think he does an excellent job in the film of doing that. We had some pretty up-to-date images in our work that we shared. And like I said, when Mel and I watched yesterday, as far as part one goes, it sets up like the next stuff that comes. And, Carrie and I were talking, and it just leads off perfectly for what's going to happen next. And as far as like the days of filming went. So, as far as, the way the film flows and everything, I thought he did just an astounding job, man. And, when it comes down to it, there's so much footage left. And looking at stuff around the camp, and then all the stuff that you guys shot in the field, and the whole side of it where Dave is going through all of this stuff every day with humidity and nothing's working, and all the there was all kinds of problems because of the dew in the mornings, and you'd wipe stuff down and it would come right back. I'm familiar with all of the stuff that goes on because we have the same problems with all the logistics with crypto reality with all the equipment. So it was really interesting to watch it all on that scale, though, as it was happening, and see people volunteering the way you guys were volunteering to shoot and all that kind of stuff. It was really cool.
Well, and one thing that
yeah,
that at the end of the
with
whoever was speaking, go ahead.
I think it was Brad. Jimmy when he froze.
Oh, I didn't even see you down
I was just going to say this, Jimmy. I was going to say just to top it all off about our cook. Not only was she just a badass cook, but she was one of the nicest people I've ever met. She's a beautiful person, man. She was, to me, of the entire group of what we were doing, she was the MVP. She was the all-star. She was the captain. Clay had her back every second too. So, I mean, good group of people. And she was the core of it. She's got my vote.
Oh, she really was. I mean, she was always so happy and so nice, and she just kind of set the tone for the day. In reality, I mean, it was a great way to get up and stumble over and have that. I go back to the phenomenal coffee, but it was just so perfect that it just set the day, the tone. And Clay, we can't thank y'all enough, as I'm sure you'll be hearing numerous times for that. That just, but that also kind of helped us as a unit grow as a family, because we were all down there to do a job, but innately you also want to make friends with the people that you're doing this job with. And some of us knew each other from other podcasts, and that was, helpful, but yet we still all had to grow and function as a team, and as a unit. And one of the things that stuck out to me was how, if there were issues, we were able to work through them to get to the core of what we were trying to accomplish. And that was, like every family, there's hiccups, and you would expect it to be, but, and Clay keeps on popping in. You're killing my shoulder, Clay. But it was, I feel like everybody that was down there, we're part of a family. And I know I was talking to Mark about that earlier today. And Mark, if you want to jump in and help a brother out who's looking for Scooby snacks.
Sure. I have been a part of so many outings. I have put together my own outings, and it is hard that if you have not been involved in one to realize what goes on behind the scenes. Carrie actually planned this for 2 years, and it is what he pulled off was simply amazing. You just figure feeding 15 people and what that takes, and you're in the field for a week. And like, as far as me, I flew in, and so I was relying on other people to help me out with things that I couldn't get on the plane. So I just came in with all of my electronics and some clothes. Lynn provided me a sleeping blanket and different stuff. Jeff Townsend supplied me with a tent, and uh, I was really concerned about flying in because of all the batteries that I had to bring, because the airlines only allow you a certain amount of batteries, and I just had my batteries hidden here and there and spread apart, and hoping that I would make it through the line. But you can't say enough about what Carrie did, because it is so difficult. I mean, we had 2 teams, we had people that were going out on their own and searching areas for us. It's important that once you locate these spots on a topographical map, that you're able to go and look at it in the daylight and see what it actually looks like. And I know that probably for 3 months before this expedition, I was just studying the topographical maps. And Stevie B lived close enough to me, I mean, to the area, that I would pinpoint an area and I would say, go into this area. And we would go live where I could say, okay, let's walk this way. Let's see what we find. And it was that kind of homework that really helped us have success in the field. Not to mention Mark Zasky, allowing us to come into his area and the background information that we had from him. So it was very successful, and I'm really excited for the premiere tomorrow night. I won't be in the chat room. I'm going to be watching it on the big screen.
Yeah, I know I will be too. I would have liked to have seen it today, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, and just and what's exciting. But one thing I'm looking forward to is, I know what I did, but seeing what everybody else did is what's exciting. Just because there's so much stuff, you hear these rumors about, oh, so and so saw this, so and so saw that, and I know that Dave, you got to see it all when you were downloading it, but it's just to see it put all together and to see how it ebbs and flows. But with that being said, a lot of the stuff that we did, we had to do on the fly because things change. That first day when people went out in the middle of the day, it was so hot that people came back and, they were, it just caught them off guard. And I can't even remember who went out on that first time when it hit them hard.
Anybody?
Okay. Because you were hurting though, Lynn, weren't you, when you came back?
I was. Yeah, it was really hot, but I don't know. I mean, Barry was talking on Mark's show the other day about his feelings and not really completely thinking it was just the heat, and listening to Dave and the way he explained things of kind of falling behind and seeing people moving further away and trying to like yell at them and not really having the energy. And my legs just felt so heavy that every step was just horrendous. And it wasn't that I was in mud, and it was just, I don't know, heaviness. And it's like, I don't know. But I mean, I am Also, my stomach is one of my weak issues. I'm a cancer survivor, so one of the first things that's going to affect me is it's going to go to my stomach. So I'm going to get really sick really quick. Barry, well, I can't really speak for him. I thought he was supposed to come on, but anyway, as Dave was last night, I believe, I totally understood what he was talking about, and I went, yeah, that's completely it. So I don't know, there may have been something odd going on, but I was pushing the envelope also. As I was walking through there, I was picking up pine cones and flinging them into the salt palmettos, and doing things to antagonize anything that might have been hiding within the salt palmettos, which is an aggressive act. So if I was zapped or whatever, I probably deserved it. But why are you laughing, Mark?
That's a straight up Zasky technique. You just run in and slap somebody and see what happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Josh had me spooked a little bit because
I stopped doing that.
Right.
Because we were down there and it was mating season for gators.
Right.
Well, Kerry found that out on the second night, I think, didn't he? It was like night 2. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. My phone rings. And he's like, "Dave, there's something." Oh. And it was a gator. It was in the field. And he almost stepped on it. And it was like, whoa. It turned around. They were chasing a heat signature. But it was the exact scenario that I had predicted on 7 different shows for 2 years. And it literally happened to Kerry. They had a little thermal signature, and I think that might be in the second film or something. I probably just spoiled it, but that's just to say, you're right. The gators, they became an issue for sure, and really, had he not seen it on the thermal, thankfully he had a thermal, and he was on that course without the thermal, it would have been very simple for the reptile to snatch onto Kerry's leg, and if that happens. Within 100th of a second, they're spinning. And the second they spin, the limb comes off. So he got lucky, dude, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. How close?
The situation, because breeding season, they're moving. And I'm talking about we've heard them coming and thought we were being pursued by a Bigfoot. And then we're like, what? And we come back around, and the game warden's there with a 12-foot gator in the street. Followed us all the way through the bushes. And they're not just in rut. With the females, they're going to kill something too. That's all. They're all about that. You know what I mean? So I felt really good when Kerry was okay, because I've been in those situations in those areas. And not only that, but I think it was 6 months before, during COVID, during the shutdown, guy got killed in the same exact situation, hunting with his wife in the J.W. Corbett area. And it was nowhere near water, and it dragged his butt a long way to the water. And his wife was fighting with the gator for his life. So when it was I was really relieved that he was okay.
Well, how close was the gator to him?
Hey, Josh, how'd that go, Josh?
He could have spit on it.
Yeah.
All of us could have. We were that close.
I didn't know you guys were closer. The way I was on the phone with Kerry, it was real late, and I was like, "What is going on?" And he's like, "We got something," and then all of a sudden it was like, "Oh!" And I heard him jumping. So you guys were there? Did he jump or what?
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know how fast they can turn on a 180. It's like
Kerry said in chat he was 3 feet away.
Oh man, yeah. So that's hey, that was one safety concern that we got real close, and that's a constant down here, man. Especially in that month. I was shocked when we went to the back to try to get some B-reel stuff with what is normally a pond full of 12-footers, like 75 or 80 of them, and they're just fighting and screaming, and it stinks like lizards and all this. It's crazy back there. There was nothing. So it was probably a little early in the season.
Well, I remember when we were coming out of. Oh heck, Lynn, you were with us, and you went over to the pond and were following him around,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's let's see, I'm trying to get some Barry's backstage, and I'm trying to find him.
Well, I mean, my background is in search and rescue, and I spent a lot of time looking for missing hunters and fishermen in Florida swamps. And so, I mean, they fascinate me, and I wanted to get some stock footage for Carrie of alligator swimming. But, I mean, they can get testy, and I've been on searches before looking for homicide victims way back in the middle of nowhere. And they get territorial, and you have a big male alligator slamming its tail down and roaring at you, and you know that it's time to get out of the way quickly, because they're not kidding. They don't have the ability to rationalize. They don't have human emotions. They're not cartoon characters. They are straight up predators, and they're ambush predators. So they can get real fast, real quick. It's really scary.
Well, yeah, and that's when you went wandering off. It was like, what are you doing? And this was before we really got to know you, and you were fearless when it came trying to find that guy. Heck, I'm losing stuff here. So what was everybody? Oh, here's Barry Browning. Welcome, Barry. What was the biggest? He's giggling again already. What was everybody's biggest surprise that about the whole trip and about the filming and everything? What? Because I know I was surprised daily, and obviously my trip with the truck ride kind of started it off just heavenly, and especially knowing that I did that when my rotator cuff was torn, so I was holding on with one arm with the rotator cuff that was 100% detached. But besides, that was my biggest surprise. So what was everybody else's? What stood out? What was happy?
Well, that you were able to hold on with a torn rotator cuff.
Well,
yeah.
mine would be is what we experienced when we went to the campground that was closed down, and that was seeing the orbs. I have had a lot of people come on my podcast talk about lights in the woods, and I don't even know if Carrie is going to even have that in the film in any of these episodes. But to be able to see it, to see those orbs with my own eyes and watch them, it was just amazing. And then to have, while we're watching those orbs, we're getting thermal hits right at the wood line with heat signatures of some type of biological creature out there. And then we would turn the thermals around to check our flanks and go back to where we had the thermal hit, and they would be gone. And so that was to have those two things happening at one time in this abandoned campground. It got my adrenaline flowing.
Yeah, I had an experience with you, Barry, where we were over at the campsite, and it was the first time I'd been over there with you guys, and we walked off to the edge, and there was a spot that the temperature felt like it was dropping, man, and I was like, oh, this is like, let's walk over this way. So we kind of walked over there, and the canopy was real thick, and I think I don't know if it was me or you, but I looked over at maybe the same time as you, and I was like, there was a lime green kind of bone structure at work going on, and the sunlight was coming through, and I was like, hey man, what's this? And then we both kind of looked over there, and then it was interesting because it was gone a second later. It was like gone a second later. Like it was there for like a couple seconds, and then it was gone. And then when we went over there was no sign of anything. And it's typically like that too, you know, even when there's like a really big one and you would think, you know, this thing's weighing down, you know, the ground and it's going to leave some sign or something. Most of the time they don't even leave a sign. So when I went over there, I was like, yeah, that's typical, you know. I always went in those situations. I always try to look at the nearby brush if it's thick enough, man, because you know if I know what I saw, and that happens to me frequently in my research area where I'm seeing stuff moving and shadows in the tree line and all this, and if you follow up, a lot of times they're right in that area still. You know, like we've seen, you know, down here, it seems like they'll just move 30 or 40 feet further away from you and then stop and keep watching. You know what I mean? So the game just continues the whole time you're in there. But I didn't see anything after that. Did you?
I didn't. You know, I took my eyes off of him for a split second, looked towards you, and when I went back, you know, he was gone.
Yeah.
I figured he hit the ground. You know, the only thing I could figure is he hit the ground.
Did you see something though? I mean, what did you see, Barry? Because what I saw was like a forehead with like brow like stuff, and then you could see it looked like a raccoon stripe. And I see that raccoon stripe where there's a horizontal perfect, man, and it's just because the cheeks are real high. And I saw that, and then looked like a good size upper lip and a real thin mouth, and the outline. The thing was I saw the hairline, and the hairline is what clicked on me. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And that's what I noticed was his silhouette. It was just a silhouette standing there behind that. Yeah. You know, I don't know if it was a tree or a bush, but just a silhouette of it. You know. And then it was just trying to concentrate. You know, it was very hard for me to pick out any detail on his face because of all the foliage. You know, in between, and you know, just the excitement of it was
freaky.
It really was.
Yeah.
And
I walked away from that one, you know, and I was like, yeah, we probably just saw a subadult. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like he was about 5 feet, maybe.
Right.
What do you think?
Right. He wasn't that big at all.
Yeah.
5, 6 feet tall, I would think.
Now, Barry was. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say real quick. Clay dropped off. He's having bad internet issues, so I came back for a minute until somebody else wants to come back. I'm really proud of everybody of what they did, the way you guys came together, especially the third day on. The one mistake that I really made was not driving home that point of short clips. Me and Todd filmed the whole thing pretty much with the filming cameras. Todd shot this thing beautifully, but he's got 1 hour long clips, hour and 20-minute long clips, and it killed it. If I had a better computer, it wouldn't have been quite so bad. And I hope I'm not too loud. That sounded loud. But it was just such a chore to get that stuff to upload. So next time, hit record, hit again.
Oh, yeah.
Hit record, hit again. You know, every 2 to 5 minutes, it just makes it so much easier with editing. That was the one thing. And there's an announcement I want to make. We have 168-hour T-shirts. The way we're giving them out now is they're just for members. They're not for sale. I've got, I think, maybe 70 or 80 left at home, but I'm going to order some more. As you join, I'm going down the list from the oldest because it tells you how long people have been a member. I've got 8 right here now. Stephen Gray, Henry DeClerc, George Killian, J.D. Sedona, Chris Castellaw, Bud the Red, Carol Farmer, Joey Sweet. Email me your addresses. I'm going to pick 4 more when I go home next week that are the next on the list. So I appreciate you guys very much. And that's the only way I know to do it. We try to do contests and drawing and all that. And we'll do a members only also when I go home. That's going to be a comment show. But Wednesday, I'll have the rest of the crew on. Blake, I'll have playback then. Stevie B, for sure, and whoever else I'm missing. We'll get them back on Wednesday. I knew I wasn't gonna have room for everybody, so that's really all I wanted to say.
But let me say one thing while you brought up Todd. I just want to say that Todd really grew as a cameraman.
Yeah.
And I personally am proud of Todd because he listened. And, you know, this couldn't have been made, obviously, without Kerry and Todd. But Todd, I want to say this was the first time you ever filmed anything, and you really grew daily as things happened. So I just want to, you know, give you what is it, a tea party clap, even though I can't raise my arm up. So there you go.
Yeah, Todd was relentless. Todd filmed when nobody else was. When I wasn't filming, Todd was filming.
So I just want to recognize
I just
Todd.
want to say thank you, Kerry, for the opportunity to be able to do this. It was an incredible experience. I guess you could kind of say that I was the opposite of the cook. You know, I was in everybody's face. I was hounding everybody, you know, bothering people, trying to figure out what was going on the whole time. So I'd really like to extend my appreciation to the team for putting up with me and, you know, letting me go along with you guys on your expeditions as you would go out. Bradley, I mean, you know, thank you for the support, you know, throughout the whole process. I mean, you guys were incredible. I was just impressed by how serious you guys were about this topic. I didn't think that it would be anything like that. So hats off to everyone. Zasky, I mean, you put us in the position to win, and you know, we were this close from getting that big shot that we're going to be going back to get, you know, sooner rather than later. So like I said, just hats off to the team. You guys were amazing and relentless. So 2 thumbs up.
Well, I'll tell you what, Todd knows how to sort his priorities, because when David got sick, Todd quit filming. He helped David instead of filming it. So good on you, and man, I wish you would have got that.
That would have been good.
Well, it kind of the theme of everything. We went on the fly. We had a script, but yet we adapted, and that's what was very impressive.
What happened to Jimmy?
I don't know.
Yeah,
We've been trying
one
to figure that out
thing
for
I
years,
can say
Gary.
about that incident, it was hair raising. You know, and
It's in the film.
it's well, I'm excited to see it. But at that point, you know, I think everyone that was there, I think has had their experience. You know, whether whether everyone that was in that subgroup saw either seen one or been near one. At the time, you know, the priority was Dave, to get him out of there. Because somebody that I think we're all familiar with, you know, David Politis. We've all heard about the, you know, getting separated and then going missing, and then just from there, I couldn't see that happening. So yeah, I mean, Dave's here right now. I would do the same thing again. Priorities are priorities.
Well, thanks, buddy. I've never really had anything like that happen to me before or since, so it's really strange. It's really an unknown. And again, I want some answers. I always want some answers. But thank you for what you did there. That was awesome. I know I was wanting to go back into the woods, and he was pushing me away with the camera in his other hand, saying, no, we got to go. We got to get out of here. We've got to go. And another team member was seeing eye shine at the same time. And it was just a very, very intense situation. And I'm glad it worked out the way it did. So thanks, Todd.
That was intuitive move on Todd's part to do that, and that's kind of one of the things that happened. That people stepped up when they needed to step up without thinking. It was just a reaction.
It's one of the last parts of the first film. Is you guys talking about that? I got Blake, Todd, and Dave all talking about it, but I didn't have anything to show, so it's just you guys talking about it. I didn't want to just throw something up there,
just to
see it in your faces,
shed a little light on that whole thing, and give it a little something to corroborate it. Is we're having a lot of problems with our cameras when certain individuals are around. Not there are certain individuals that are in these areas that seem to disrupt stuff, and I'm thinking that it could possibly be one explanation for what you went through, Dave. And we're seeing disruption in our footage where the trees are in focus, but what's between it looks like a blob monster that's moving. And it makes absolutely no sense without some type of a field disrupting the cameras. But if there is that going on, I think it could be possibly one explanation for what you went through. I mean, the area has a history of that kind of stuff with, it being the largest mound city south of the Appalachians. And it's steeped in Native American tradition and stories about all of that stuff. The stuff that you talked about, Mark, there are stories of that stuff. You know what I mean? Melanie and I don't encounter a lot of that, but that's because what I saw in the daytime. So there was absolutely no need for me to go chasing that thing in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? Because I could just figure that it wasn't a good idea, and a couple times we've had so many, just they're not situations that you want to put yourself in. So I always say, look, my camera works fine in the daytime and I'm okay with that. We specialize in trying to get visual evidence of these things. Like Mark, you have a thing with audio, and Dave, you guys have your thing. Everybody has their own thing. And just looking at it, we're having something interfere with our cameras. I'm gonna tell you that this is absolutely happening, and it seems to be only targeting the cameras with zoom lenses, if you can believe that. But none of our other cameras within proximity.
Wow.
Within proximity of me, like right around me. No, none of the other cameras. Just the one with the 400 millimeter. See them clear through lens, So something's going on, Dave, and I can tell you that I know a few people who've been through what you went through. I myself had an episode in the field in that general area, managed to capture the whole thing on camera. There's electrical interference with my camera while it's being filmed, and I'm about to throw up and have a heart attack simultaneously.
And I'm telling you, as retired law enforcement, 20 plus years, I've experienced a lot of things, and I've had a lot of training, and I've experienced nothing like that ever before nor since.
Well,
neither have I.
I have had things
weird
happen with electronics out in the field, but one thing that it's like your batteries go dead, and you've got fresh batteries, and then once you're out of the situation, all of a sudden your batteries are fully charged again. So, but talking about getting sick, there was also another time where Carrie, Josh, me, Barry, and Lynn, we were about 10 miles deep in, and at the same time, Lynn and Barry both got physically sick at the same time. They were perfectly fine, and we hiked in about 15 minutes, and bam, they were both sick. So
we pulled extremely high readings from the field on several occasions in the areas that were well 100 times in excess of what is considered acceptable toxicity for human beings. Kerry himself has witnessed it with the EMF meters in the exact areas. And then it's anomalous, though. It comes and it goes, and there's not necessarily a Sasquatch around. It was happening in places like the truck as we were driving down the road. We're getting a 400 milligal reading in the truck leaving.
Yeah.
Something's going on. We're not sure what
it's
it
not
is.
power line.
I can
It's
tell
not
you right
power
now,
lines.
it will make you ill. It will give you side effects in real time. That type of energy. So.
Well, see, I had the meter out there the first day, but I wasn't looking at it a lot. And it's the high power lines. When you were under them, I was getting 24, 23, 24, but it was constant.
Right.
It was a steady level. When you hit those 300-400 spikes, when you're out in the field, I mean,
There's
who
no
in the world
power.
knows?
Yeah. There's no explanation for that. That's rationally explainable. I mean, I even went to geographic, because the aquifer is real close to the surface. That was my potential theory for a while, that, in these places where it's, limestone is prevalent down here and the aquifer runs through it. If it hits tight spots, it can pick up in its field. It generates an electrical current. It's well known. Could it be hot spots that are springing up in these swamps? There's, spots where you get crystal clear spring water, but we're nowhere near the swamp. We're nowhere near the spring where you would pick up on this. You know what I mean? And it's so inconsistent within the area and so, just random that you would think eventually, you're just going to come to the conclusion there's a moving source for this. It's moving. So whatever it is, it's moving. Is in my conclusion, it's moving.
Well, I did notice a weird event before Dave had his episode. I noticed we had all got disoriented, and right when I got a sense of dread, right when we started losing track of where we were at, right when we started feeling that this thick, heavy fog came in, and you couldn't see past the first couple trees, and it was I don't know if it was coincidental.
Well, no. I mean, think about this, okay? Think about a source for electromagnetic energy being in that fog, transmitting electricity through water molecules in the air directly onto your skin. I mean, this is physics, man. This shit happens. It's static electricity. But if there's a source, how does that affect the entire chain of how it's transmitted? If there's a source, whether it be a being or a craft or a device that's planted in the ground,
it's a weather event.
The fog would absolutely strengthen it.
Yeah. Back to what Josh was saying. What he said is exactly spot on. As the event started to happen, a feeling of dread just came in on us, and we all got confused. Josh was armed. Blake was armed. I mean, I'm kind of like I'm a daredevil. Dave's a federal agent. All of a sudden everything just changed. We all got lost. We all kind of got
almost as if you entered a field of some type, like a field.
I don't know what it was.
Everybody walked into a field or something and started having the same thing. It sounds
it was for somebody that goes into any situation not scared of anything. It was a feeling of okay, something bad could happen.
Yeah. And the way that fog came in was, you ever seen the movie The Mist? It was almost just like that. It was so weird because we're on our way out and we're like, all right, so how do we get out of here? So we're in this circle, grouped together, and Chad's like, it's this way. I'm like, no. And then Blake's like, no, it's this way.
Dude, you guys are so lucky I wasn't there, because I would have been like, I would have let the fog pass me up, and then I would have been from the fog. Strange things come in the mist. Fucking next thing you know, it been screams and shit.
Actually,
really, Mark, really, guys. I've been out with these guys before. They don't get lost.
I got it. I know.
This was something.
No, you know what? And listen, it's not to make light of you guys' situation. Yeah. Believe me, man. Like I said, you can see these things in the footage. You know what I mean? Like I put this footage out, and it's real. That was unfortunately, one of the first things we were able to confirm was there was some type of electromagnetic interference with our gear and our bodies in this area because we filmed it. It happened, and we filmed it. It was in year 1. And several people have used that footage to explain the phenomenon when people doubt that it happens. So I'm with you. Something's going on. My experimentation to try to find all that stuff has been unsuccessful in like actually nailing it down. We've eliminated several different things though, and I can tell you the phenomenon is traveling. Whatever it is, it's on something.
And it was almost like a series of events. I believe, Todd, you were with us when I had seen that thing cross the road. Weren't you in the back seat with us?
I might remember that.
We ended up going in and chasing after it.
No, I was there as well.
Well, this happened before this. It was just a whole series, like a chain of events.
Right.
Because I'm sitting there driving, and I'm going down this dirt road. There's no trees overhanging the road. Nothing. And as I'm driving, I see these big old eyes just go across the road like something just walked across the road. And the creepy part about it is that they were at least 9 or 10 feet off the ground. They were pretty high. So we immediately pulled over and chased after it. We could hear this thing walking away.
Did it creep you out when you looked at the map and saw where that was?
Say that again?
When you told me where it was the next morning, it was like almost a heart attack for me because it's right where the disturbance was initially when Brian, one of our team members, investigated that particular strip. Stuff was being thrown from that tree line all the way. What is it? 45 feet to the road. Whatever it was huge, and it was throwing huge branches at Brian's truck as it drove by, and they were coming out into the road. And so when you guys told me where it was, and it was the exact same spot, I'm talking about the exact same spot where you said you pulled your truck over and I went with you, is literally in 50 feet in either direction from where that occurrence was with Brian. And subsequently we went in and heard moving off that sounded like elephants. There were several individuals on that little thin strip. Did you guys investigated the thin strip? There was something in there on several occasions when we investigated that place. So you guys did a great job as far as I'm concerned. Seeing that eye shine and then going in there with all that stuff, and then it led you into this occurrence that got Dave sick. That's insane.
Yeah.
It definitely
went that direction. This is all corroborated by multiple individuals. You know what I mean? So,
real quick,
it was like they were. I'm
sorry. I just want to say 5 minutes, and I'm going to set the film to premiere. It's going to premiere Saturday at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night. So, members, you got 5 minutes to start it. Now, you can start it and still watch the whole thing, but once it's off, if you quit and come back, you're not going to be able to finish it. So it doesn't kick you out in the middle if you've started it already. But it's I'm going to go ahead and set. So if you get the notification, remember you got to hit that reminder again, because I'd already set it to premiere this morning, and I turned it back on for the members because some had joined just to watch it, and we appreciate you very much. We only did that because our members get so little. I try to get T-shirts out to everybody, and we try to do a members only show when we can. It's just time. I'm gonna have a lot more time to do these things now, so I want to give everybody a T-shirt eventually. Like I said, I can only do about 4 a week right now, so I just go down the list and I choose oldest whoever joined. There's a list of everybody, so that's the list I'm going down. But yeah, in just about 5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and set it to premiere tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Central, and everybody will get to watch it as many times as you want to watch it. What else? Oh yeah, before we go, one of our supporters, PJ Perry, his father had a heart attack. So prayer warriors, Paul Perry, not doing too good. So if you would say a prayer for him, please. Appreciate you all so very much. And I'll stop that right there. I'm gonna bring the mood down or anything, but we got some good
Dave,
players.
you got hit, man.
One thing that I did find
I
ominous.
fucking love it.
I've been walking around. I've been in Texas, and I see a lot of hog activity, and there was a lot of hog activity out there. But every time we were out there, I didn't hear them. I never saw them. And the way that activity was looking, you'd think they'd be nearby. But that part to me bothered me a little bit. Because the entire time I was there, I never saw one. Anytime we had any kind of activity.
Mark, you and I saw one the first night, didn't we? In that back field, or maybe it was the first dusk.
I think so. Yeah.
We just saw one though.
But the activity out there, you could tell there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
A ton of them. And we were all over the place. And one out of the entire week we've been there.
Yeah. Well, man, they're getting they're getting hunted. I'll put it politely. They're getting hunted.
He was going to say something else.
Yeah.
And by the way, hats off for nobody cussing, and I thought I'd have been the first one.
Mark did once.
I cannot hand that mantle to you, Bradley. Sorry. Heavy is the crown, sir.
Oh my.
Hey, look, I appreciate everybody showing up here to do this, kind of juice the film a little bit, just to kind of talk about it, and because it's finally coming out for everybody tomorrow, and you guys just did such a tremendous job. I had a lot to work with, I really did, and it took a long time to go through it all, just because of another life. If I did it for a living, it would have been out a long time ago. But through every obstacle, from August of 2019, when I first announced we were going to do this, planning for a year, getting shut down through the first one, which is probably the best thing that could have happened for this, because I was very ill prepared for the first time. I thought I was ready, and then I wasn't really ready for this one, the way things went and turned out. But as it went, as the time went by, I think it started to click. I know our executive producer, third day, stood up and really started kicking people. Hey, this is what we got to do, and really start. I mean, not kicking people, but just kind of getting that mindset, because there was no reference for us. No one had ever tried to do anything like this. I had it in my head how I wanted it to go, but just having to convey it to everyone. And then I think a lot of people were just waiting for direction. And finally people started going. Mark Newbill is the star, pretty much. Mark, the two stars of the first film, that had the presence to actually, while out there, explain what was going on, what you were doing, what you were seeing, instead of just making it another Bigfoot trip that you're just recording. And Todd, great job with getting people to talk, because that's another thing that I noticed, that you were asking questions and getting people to say things. Blake and Clay, I don't think would have said a word if you hadn't juiced it out of them. But a lot of the part 2 is going to be a lot more field action. The first 2 days, nobody really knew what to do. So it was a lot of us collecting ourselves. Thank goodness for Mark and Melanie Zasky and providing a lot of the images that they did of what had been captured in that area. There were 3 or 4 that I had captured in that area, stuff in the film, but to me, it's as clear as you're going to get.
Carrie, the one was actually filmed in the tree that the thermal shot was shot the night before. In the film, you're going to see this huge blob of thermal on a branch 40 or so feet off the ground. The next day, I caught an individual, and it's a huge man face up in that tree, man. Where they were up in the tree the night before.
Yeah, he looks I'm really going to highlight him in part 2, but you see him in the montage at the end. Because it's such a far shot, he looks a little blocky. It's not, he's got blocky looking features, but there's no doubt it's a face poking out of the bushes, watching everybody. Tannish, weird colored skin, dark eyes, but kind of, you can see the nose, the nostrils. It's very blocky looking, but you'll see it in the film tomorrow. But I'm going to highlight it really good in part 2, because it wasn't filmed until the 3rd day, actually.
Oh,
but
I put
it in the montage because it was in the tree night too. Remember, I filmed it the next day.
Oh, that's right. I kept thinking it was.
So I'll reference back to the blob and the tree in part 2.
The first night, the next morning, we found a track. Remember?
Right. Exactly.
That's right. Now I remember. Okay, so it was that night. It was night 2, and then so day 3 is when that individual was in that tree, Gary.
Yes. No, see, well, nothing was labeled. It was labeled, but there was no time. All the hard drive picked up was when things were uploaded. So that's kind of what I had to go by. But there's still clips that I found that were from day 2, day 1, in somewhere later. That it's just, we'll have to do better at listing when everything is and actually name the files instead of just having numbers on them. Just name them something. Just makes it easier in editing. And something I didn't realize until you go to edit something like this with 31 devices filming for 7 days straight. It's just so much stuff. The film itself weighed over a gig when I was done. I mean, a terabyte. Weighed over just the film. All the edits, cuts, everything weighed over a terabyte. And I still have 1.6 terabytes of footage that's not in it. So I just go through and I'm finding the most relevant stuff and trying to make it smooth and make sense all the way through. Huge shout outs to Cam Buckner and Nance Warren, Dixie Cryptid, Buckeye Bigfoot. I reached out to them, asked them if they would do this, and I sent them 2 stories from the book. You guys need to get this book. Lynn turned me on to it. And
here's the shirt. Wait, I'm in the wrong. Sorry.
Is that it?
Yep.
I like the pink.
Thank you.
No, the book. The book I'm talking about. The book I'm talking about. Florida Keys Skunk Ape Files by Brad Bertelli.
Yes.
I reached out to Brad. He was happy to let us tell his stories. They're not really stories. It's history. It's a history of what happened, and the way he wrote it and the way Cam and Nance told it. It's not like anything you've heard from them.
Those stories are great.
Yeah, because it's not a personal story. It's his finding hundreds of year-old accounts of soldiers and Spanish missionaries, Ponce de Leon, and his guys.
The keys
talking about this. So go to the description of the film, and you'll see all these guys' YouTube channels that have channels, and you'll also see that book and the link in Amazon. I don't know how much it is, maybe $15. I don't know. But he was good enough to give us permission to use that content in there, and it just kind of helps.
Those 2 stories were both great.
There was 4 stories.
4 stories, sorry.
Yes, there was 4 of them in there. They each told 2, and I spread them out and put them in little transition spots. But there'll be 4 more in the next one, and if there's a part 3, there'll be some more in that one. I'm gonna think I'm gonna be able to cram everything into part 2 for the next one and condense it a little bit, just make it a little bit longer film. But just want to say thanks to everybody for showing up here. You guys, you did it. As far as I'm concerned, you did it. Any accolade that's thrown at me it's all you guys. So congratulations.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Kerry, because when you showed me, and forgive me, I'm laying down. When you showed me how when you would drag a part into the film and it was rendering, and the circle would be going on and on and on for 20 minutes. I don't think people really understand how long it took you to add pieces and cutting pieces from this film. And when you say that, you have another life besides this film, I mean, what do you have, like 200, 300 hours into this thing?
I'd say a little over 200 sitting down at the computer time. Yeah. That's not counting going through footage. I went through footage for 5 months. I didn't start editing until September 25th at Mark Zansky's house. I brought stuff into the timeline, but I didn't start cutting it up until then. And that's when it really started to. Mark and I looked at a lot of stuff, and for 5 days I was there, and we went through a lot of stuff. But both of our computers were acting up. But we've got a remedy for the next one. Mark and I are getting the 16 gig fast rewrite hard drives, so we won't have this problem. Won't have this problem again.
That's the big thing about this is just the beginning, man. Like, you guys came down here and we really had a good showing. And there's still films from this first one, but you know, it's the beginning. You know, people know now. A lot of people know now what's going on down here. You know what I'm saying? And,
well, you guys just putting yourself.
We've been trying to do for a long time. You know?
Right. Well, just these guys taking the chance, because you know you're going to be out there and you're going to get kicked in the teeth. But just remember this: the first guy through the wall always gets bloody. There it is. Florida Keys Skunk Ape Files, Brad Bertelli. That's the book. That's the one. I hope we don't get copywritten because you put that up there.
Sorry.
Well, let me just
Copyright
say that
strike. I couldn't put his image of the book up there because YouTube would have gave me a copyright. I even told him that. That's okay. It's not. We probably won't monetize this anyway. But we can't show stuff like that because the algorithm picks it up.
Oh, I thought if you gave them credit, it would be okay, but I guess
no,
not.
you have to go through Congress to get. Even if they tell you have permission, YouTube still they don't know. They have to confirm all these things, and it's a thing you got to fill out. So it's we already did it. That song that's at the end, I bought that duty free 2 years ago, and said this is going to go well somewhere, and I think it worked well here. As soon as I put it up there, 5 minutes, copyright. I had to go through and fill out and show where I had purchased it at a duty-free shop, and then in 20 minutes it was off. But just having to go through all that stuff.
Yeah, we were on the phone when you got that email.
Yeah, they take care of you now. YouTube will take care of you if you got something that's copywritten and someone tries to use it. Now, someone can steal your video, and what they've been doing is they've been slowing them down, or they'll speed them up a little bit, so the algorithm won't pick it up. But people will probably be stealing this. But yeah, you guys are probably going to get pounded. Just be ready for it. I know you got thick skin. I'm so used to it at this point.
Sometimes it sucks being right.
Yeah, Zacky knows. Who knows better than you?
Yeah, everything's gonna work out.
You got all these.
Everything's gonna work out. Everything's gonna work out. You want to know why? And this is astounding to say, but you want to know why? Because you're right, and 8 billion people are wrong. That's why. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, how dare you have all these people out there in masks, Mark Zansky?
Oh,
all these masks that you must be making.
I got
I'm making
22 for next week.
Yeah, because you can't find them anywhere that look like these things. These creatures look.
Can you make one for me with an AC in it, Mark?
All right.
Yeah, Mike V, you got some big parts in part 2 coming up there. Light getting hit out of your hand. So everybody, y'all enjoy part 1. Make sure you leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Leave a comment here. Tell us what you think. This wasn't a whole lot of content in this, I don't think. Just us talking and getting together, but that's what I wanted, just to get most of you guys together. And really thanks, everybody. I can't say it enough.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Barry Browning.
Scary.
Everybody.
Yes, sir.
Family.
Thank you. I know your internet's a little bit behind there. Todd, thanks for showing up. I know you were worried about it. Mark Newbill, this is the least I've heard you anywhere, but there's so many people out here. Mark, you haven't seen it yet, have you, Mark?
I have not, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited about you and Bradley coming on Beast TV next Thursday. So just want to invite everybody that's got, after they watched the film and got questions, to come on and ask your questions for Carrie and Bradley.
That's right. Tippa TV Sunday, going to be on Sasquatch Chronicles. Week after that, Dixie Cryptid. We're going to be doing the rounds. They all want us to talk about it. So I'm fine with that. So, all right. Well, we're a little bit over our usual hour, but that's okay. Thanks everybody again for showing up. And once it's out, I'll probably be inviting you guys back, just less of you at a time. Wednesday, I'm going to have Blake, Clay, Jimmy, see if I can get Jeff Townsend this time to come back. And once you guys actually have some questions for him. So thanks again, everybody.
Jeff Townsend.
Well, the real Jeff Townsend, please stand up.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Y'all take care. Have a good night. Enjoy the show tomorrow night, 7:30. It's going to premiere. I'm setting it right now.
Good night.